Hello adventurers and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going on Scenic Highway 7 and I'm going to start us off with a tiny little scenic hike. Check this out. It is gorgeous, and then I'll get in the van and tell you a little bit more about this area. The little trail that we just took actually is a spring off of the Washita Trail, so that is a lot of trail system that you can go on. And they have this nice trailhead parking here, so it's right off of Scenic Highway 7, which you can see right over there. Scenic Highway 7 runs all the way from Arkadelphia up to Harrison, Arkansas, about 190 miles. So you can take this in various points and enjoy a lot of beautiful scenery, and then it kind of cuts in the hot springs area and takes you through town. So you can still get some beauty, but it's gonna look a little bit different as you get closer to larger cities. So I thought, what better thing today to do than to just kind of take the back roads and take it a little bit slow, see what's along this road, stop off at some of the many viewpoints and stops, and just kind of enjoy ourselves a little bit. This is the perfect time of year to do it. The air outside is crisp. There's a little bit of drizzle, so it really makes all the colors pop, and I think this is gonna be super fun. So let's go get on the road and see what we can find. Now, despite being a scenic highway, Scenic 7 is a pretty well-trafficked road as well. So they have tons of little pull-offs like these that you can take your time and stop and let traffic pass you so that you can go a little bit slower, which is what I usually like to do. I pulled off in here so a couple people could pass me so I could drive a bit under what they wanted to go. I've noticed that a lot of times, especially in areas where people have to use these roads as commuter roads, that they know the roads, so they go a bit faster than I personally would like to go, as I am spectating all of the beauty around me that I may not have seen ever before. And it's just their backyard, so they've already seen it, been there, done that, no big deal. And so I always take these moments to just kind of pull off and then take my time. And I think that that's the best thing that you can do on a scenic highway or byway, is just kind of allow the road to unfold for you. Now, as we kind of go, you'll notice up here, there's a few of those little S-curve signs. It's about to get crazy here, guys. Whew, I'm ready to hit the road though. I'm very ready to hit the road. This is about to be so fun. I've just been soaking it all in. It's gorgeous out here. And I saw something else that was at this stop that I wanted to share with you guys along Highway 7 here. You'll see these signs kind of as you drive through, and curiosity got the best of me. I wanted to see what they were. These are their prescribed burn area signs, and it tells you when they will be burning as of next year. You know, I always say find the signs. If you see a brown sign, always pull over. It's something interesting. If you see an orange sign, it may be a trespassing sign, or it could be one of these. And now that we know that, now I'll know what they are as I kind of go along. Also, look for areas if you're out and about trying to adventure on foot. If you see purple, that is a no trespassing purple. All of those things are super important. But with that said, it's time to explore Scenic 7. Found another historical site, so I'm going to pull off here And this is the Hollis CCC Camp. Here we learned that the National Forest Scenic Byway actually covers 190 miles, and you travel through 2 different national forests, a national park and a national river. And you can also find the map here at this particular stop, and it shows you that it goes all the way up to Bull Shoals Lake, just past Harrison and Jasper. You pass through Ozarks National Forest, and then Russellville, Dardendale. Another piece of the national forest is just to the west, and then the Ouachita National Forest, and then it goes all the way down through Hot Springs down to Arkadelphia. There's also this really cool picture here that's a little harder to see on camera, but this is the Hollis camp when it was under construction, and this is the residents of the Hollis camp, all of the core members, and you can see that they lived kind of in a little bit of a tent city using canvas tents, and this was company 1704. There's also some more information about them here. This was one of the many camps here in the Ouachita National Forest. In fact, it says here that they had 16 different Civilian Conservation Corps camps in just this region that were constructing a lot of different things. But it also has some other cool stuff on here that I thought was just really delightful. People started to arrive in May 22nd of 1933, and this camp actually lasted all the way until it was disbanded in 1935, but it was reopened again in 1936, which a lot of the camps were not reopened. From 1936, it stayed open until the World War began, and that began in 1941, so it was completely disassembled by 1942. But now we have all these beautiful locations out in this region that we can go and see the impact of this site, and so I want to show you a little bit more of this because there's a little trail over here, so let's get to walking. As you can see, there are some great sidewalks here, so we're going to be taking this little crosswalk, crossing across, and going into this section of this pull-off. There's tons of parking at this historic site, and Scenic 7 has all sorts of little stops just like this where you can come in and check out the amazing history of the region, but also of the people who were here. Now, for those who don't know who the Civilian Conservation Corps were, they were actually a group of regular everyday people. During the Great Depression, they were looking for jobs, and they created the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps, to do all sorts of improvement projects at parks across the country. And they also built a lot of interesting other things. So as you kind of travel the country, you'll see the CCC pop up time and time again. They were actually responsible for the Washington Monument, believe it or not. So that's kind of cool. But as we're kind of walking around, it looks like there is a site out here that we can kind of tour through this series of sidewalks with some signs and what look to be some different, maybe where the buildings formerly were areas. So some pad sites. Oh wow, this is amazing. This is an old fireplace made of stone that you can still see standing today. This is very cool, and it's quite large. It is probably, I want to say, at least 10 to 12 feet across. And on the back side, they have the site of Hollis CCC Camp, 1933 to 1941. Very neat. Now, many of the signs along the way are a little worse for wear, but this one you can actually still read as you stand in the footprint of this great, massive fireplace. And it talks about the recreation hall, and it was an area for them to balance work with play. Here they congregated to listen to music and go to musical programs. They had card games, and they actually gathered here for church as well. So in the area that we are currently standing, this was part of the rec hall. It is no longer here, but we can see this magnificent fireplace, this grand piece to remind us of the past and the what once was. And I think that the stonemasonry of these camps really is a testament to the hard work and dedication that many of the parks experienced throughout this time frame through the CCC. And as we kind of move about, we're going to learn a little bit more. I see some other signs. As we look in this direction, this sign actually talks about the officers' quarters. And there are a couple little pieces here that, again, are harder to kind of see where they are, but it shows us that we are right here, and the officers' quarters would have literally been right in front of us right here. Now, the officers' quarters would have been a bit better than the tents, and they would have been more structured buildings, but they were still constructed of wood. And so you can see here what the quarters would have looked like. It would have just been 2 separate rooms, and then they each would have had a bed, a small table, a chair, and then probably a small fireplace or some form of heat. It kind of makes me sad when the signs start to fade because it makes it harder for us to get our brain wrinkles. But it's so important for us to learn from the past to make better tomorrows and learn about these spectacular people who created so many of the projects within our National Park Service and also our state park. Depending on where you go, you've probably seen something and just had no idea that the Corps actually did it. But these are regular, everyday people who were sending money back home so that their families could survive. And they were doing painstaking work without all of the conveniences that we have today. We have power tools. They had hard work and elbow grease, and yet they constructed some of the most beautiful, iconic stonemasonry that I have seen across the nation. So as we continue going, I'm going to continue sharing some details. This is a fun one though, guys. This is a great one to stop at. There's a little path here. It's a little harder to see with the leaves, but it takes us back to this large foundation back here. And this foundation looks like it was at one point in time a grand building. Oh, that is cool. That is so cool. Off in the distance, I see another one kind of in that direction. I'm hoping that one of these has a sign to let us know which buildings that these were. But if not, I'll reference the map up at the front. Oh, here we go. This was the mess hall and kitchen, and it says good food and plenty of it. And you can see what that would have looked like here. The building itself would have had siding and a roof, and it would have been about 20 feet across. They had sinks with a drain, and then also some ranges in there. And there's some historic photos on here, which I don't know that they necessarily translate as well, but that's some of the enrollees who chose to work in the kitchen, and they would get up at 5:30 in the morning to have breakfast ready. That is crazy. But look at that. That's pretty neat. Now we have context for the building, which is why it's so important to have the signs so that we can have the whole story. Now, kind of an interesting fact, those who served in the CCC went on to serve in World War II many times as bakers and cooks if they worked in the mess hall. So that's where they got their skills so that they could implement them immediately as they went to war. And so not only were they contributing to us here, right here in this very region, but also they went on to serve our country. And of course we know that World War II was a brutal war, and so people like this would have been instrumental in feeding our troops, and I think that that's just really amazing. So as we kind of move forward, we're going to continue to see even more of the contributions of each of these people, not only here, but I'm sure as kind of time advanced as well. For those who came along for the scenic drive, I bet you didn't know we were going to get brain wrinkles today. This is pretty much amazing. Now this sign is definitely harder to read, but it talks about the education that was given in sites like these. A lot of times, education was considered to be a luxury because people could not afford it at this time, especially for fine skills. But the Corps taught them skills that they could use beyond just their service time here. Of course, they learned how to be stonemasons, but they also learned how to be blacksmiths, and they learned how to fabricate things in a mechanic shop and how to work on things that they were using. And all of that was accessible to them and might not have been in their day-to-day lives due to their limited resources. And so the Corps sites weren't just a place for them to work or a place for them to recreate, but they were also a place for them to become a better version of themselves that could help them in the future. And a lot of people walked away from the Corps sites learning so many things that they were able to implement into their day-to-day lives to make their families have a better overall life going forward. And I think that that's pretty neat. As we look onto these foundation pieces to the right, they actually supported a small building that contained a pump, the water pump, and also the power plant for the entire camp right here. The entire camp had power, and it was because of these foundations and the buildings that connected to them that they were able to have power, and that made it where life was a little bit better. It wasn't just like primitive tent camping where they had a little tiny light that was coming from a candle. They actually had really good power services at each one of these, because each one of the camps had a power unit similar to this that provided their drinking water and their electricity. But also, right behind us over here was actually a hospital. And of course, the hospitals were important for basic medical needs, but also it was said that the people a lot of times would come here in such depraved states. They were in such poverty that they were very thin. And through proper nutrition and also medical attention that they may not have been able to have access to, the average person gained weight whenever they were here. How much did they gain? Well, anywhere between 7 and 12 pounds within the first 6 months of being here. And whenever they left here, they left no longer skinny, no longer needing those nutrients. They had a balanced diet and were healthier than they were when they came. And I think that that's a pretty neat thing too. Not to mention they were pretty physically fit whenever they left because it was hard manual labor. So that was a cool little sign. There's also another little building back here, but I do not see any kind of like signage for that one. So I'm not sure what that one is. Off in this direction, you can also see where there are some what look to be foundation stones that just kind of line the area a little bit. Now in front of us, we have the Barracks area, and this is where you would have found everybody sleeping right in this region. And you can see, again, this is where it would have been, but all that is left is just like the stone foundation. The barracks were 110 feet by 20 feet and they used cots. So there wasn't a ton of room in there. Each person had their own footlocker, and basically this was just a place to sleep. This wasn't a place to have a lot of activities. This was just where they called home. In fact, 200 people would call this home at any given time. Just across that, you can see the foundations for the bathhouse. This was a large foundation and it supported all of the camp's latrine and also the bathhouse as a whole. The standard facility contained pit-type latrines. So it wasn't like flushing toilets. It was more like a camping pit toilet, but like in bulk. And so somebody would have to, of course, maintain that regularly. And I'm sure that that was not the fun job to have if you were in the CCC camp. Took a short drive in the rain and I found another cool pull-off only a few miles up the road. This is actually the South Forchie recreation area, I think that's how it's pronounced, but this is, again, just right up the road a little bit, and there's some interesting things here, like camping. It's only $5 per night to camp here right now because they do not have potable water. Normally it's $8, and you can actually use your passes, your Golden Age passport or your Golden Access passport, and get a discount on that. So that's pretty cool. I really appreciate that that is here. And we're going to look at a couple of the campsites real quick, but I'm going to show you something else first. And then this tells us a little bit more about the National Forest. It says that we are traveling through the oldest and largest national forest in the South. Ooh, guys, I found some information about the auto tours. The Winona Scenic Drive and the Buffalo Gap self-guided auto tours. They have free maps for those at the Jessieville Visitor Center. So if we want to take one of those in the future, it would be good for us to pick up one of those maps. So as you can see, they have restrooms here. And then lots of parking just for recreational people. They have a little gazebo area that has a couple of covered tables. Each one of the campsites is just like a little offshoot, like this over here. It looks like typically this is where the potable water would be, but again, that's not accessible right now. Camping tables look pretty nice. No sags, no drags. I am happy with these. You know, sometimes with wooden tables, it can go either way, but this is a good quality campsite for a very nice price point that is very budget friendly. Look at this space. It's beautiful out here. It's so vibrant and green. They have a little area you can pay over there right next to the trash. And then it's a loop in and out. Each site is marked. You can see the number right there. They have a fire pit, a little grill, and a prep station. Sites look pretty even, so that's really nice. And it looks like they're large enough where you could pull in a couple of cars on most of them. So I'm definitely going to be remembering this one for the future because that is a steal of a deal. That is a very good deal, especially during the season when they do have potable water. $8? That is insane. I'm gonna have to tell my dad about this one too. I think he would really like the location. It's just really, really nice here. You know, if I didn't need to go north a little bit more, I would totally just stay here tonight. This is so pretty. I kind of want to go over to campsite 3 though, because it looks like there might be a view over there. I'm getting rained on already. I might as well. Okay, here's campsite 3. I like the setup of this one, I think the best so far. I guess that one over there is kind of set up the same way, but this one seems to be very comfortable. They have a tent site right beyond the pavement, so it does make the drive on this one a little bit smaller, which is fine because I have a tiny van. So, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. So walking through the campsite, over the tent pad, out toward the back of the tent pad, and then this is our view. That is spectacular. Oh yeah, definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. Trying to see if there is a path down to the water now. Beyond that, I think there might be actually. Okay, so we have overflow parking, and then beside that is this, which is right next to campsite 3, which is a staircase down to the water. Don't mind if I do. Let's go check this out. Oh, this is cool. It kind of comes in and then it kind of goes to a point over there. And so there's lots of bank that you could fish off of. But this is nice, guys. This is super nice. Scenic 7 does it again. Wow. You know, we've only stopped off at a couple of spots, and already I think you can see why so many people enjoy coming down Scenic Highway 7. It's just a beautiful look at Arkansas, the natural state doing its natural things. Now, I will say this, because you are kind of close to the roadway, you do hear a lot of road traffic, but I can't imagine that would be all night. So this is still on my list, definitely on my list. Oh, I'm melting, I'm pretty sure. The water is definitely watering right now. And so I've been turning on my windshield wipers, and then I drive and I pull off and I see something cool. And oh my gosh, it's amazing today, guys. There's been a lot of fun along the way. We're not finished yet. Been some ups and downs. Didn't know where we were going at least a couple times. Very on brand for me. But the things I find whenever I don't know where I'm going just kind of amaze me. So, you know, I'm not mad. I can take a casual drive in a sprinkly rain as long as it doesn't turn into something scary. We're fine, we're fine. Back into the van I go, and more Highway 7 is coming up. Maybe a couple more stops before I have to call it a day because of the rain. It's just so awesome to see all of the amazing stops. And so I'm trying to make as many of them as I can if the weather works with us. Otherwise, guys, Scenic Highway 7. You need to be looking into this if you're going through Arkansas. Again, it's just one of many scenic highways here in the natural state, and each one of them unfolds a different story of the people who were here, or the places that you can go, or the nature around you. And so there really is no wrong way to explore one of these scenic highways. River Road Park. So as we pull into this one, we immediately see it looks like there is a camp host potentially right here. It looks like it. And then there is also a pay booth, but there's camping in this direction, and in this opposite direction there's something else really neat. They have water access, so I wanted to come over here and see. Oh, it's beautiful. Definitely have to show you guys this. Now right behind me is where we came in, and then it goes down to Nimrod Dam. So we're actually going to drive down a little bit further to see that also and see if there's anything down there. I'm not sure if there is or not. Check this out though. Beautiful water access all through here. It also looks like there's like a boat ramp here. So that's kind of nice. I'm not going to go down that right now because it's pretty slippery, but wow, this is another great stop on 7. And I can hear the bridge, which we just passed over to get here. It's pretty thunderous. It almost sounds like thunder. It's kind of crazy. But I'm about to go back up this hill in front of us, and well, let's see what else we can find. Okay, getting out again and checking out the dam, which, wow, this thing is huge. So they have these little picnic tables, which are kind of on a cliff. There's no barrier, so I think that this is kind of dangerous, but it is what it is. You can see the dam very well from here, though, and you can see there's a road that actually goes across. I'm not sure if that's a road that we can access or not. We'll find out in a minute, but it goes over the dam, and you can see it's actually spraying out right now. It's a beautiful place out here though. Again, it's just the perfect time of year. You can see where the water kind of dumps out and ends up over by where we were earlier. And there's another little overlook over there that has a stair step down where you can get down to that bottom section. Nope, we can't drive over this one. That's okay though. Okay, so this is the other side of the dam, and you can see it's pretty cool. It actually can get all the way up here before the floodgates open up. And so the water is way down right now, but you can see back into like the little inlets and things too. It's really neat. Sometimes it just pays to get out and explore something a little bit different. Scenic Highway 7 is definitely that. And I hope you've enjoyed coming along to see some of the stops along the way. The rain's picking up a little bit, so it's going to halt our progress. So I'll make sure to come back here and pick it up in a different section of Highway 7, and we'll see a little bit more of the awesomeness in the future. Remember guys, we're not here for a long time, but we are here for a good time, and a scenic highway is definitely that. Till next time guys, bye.